All right, welcome to our special episode number one, the finalizing of Turbo Pit Fighter teaser comic number one. Jake, how are you doing?
Good. Welcome back, everybody. Good to see you on a Sunday.
Now,
Oh,
before we
yeah.
get too deep into this, we're going to be really reviewing and finalizing this 6 pages of story and stuff. But I want everybody to know that we're really active on a community tab here on YouTube. In that community tab, we're doing a lot of polls. We're asking a lot of questions, and we do have a few people, turbo nuts is what we like to call them, making a lot of noise, if you will. So if you take a second after you get out of this video, jump over to our community tab, which is right on the home page. You'll find a lot of stuff going on that you can enjoy, engage, and communicate with us, which is, part of what we're about here. But with that being said, Jake and I are going to finalize Turbo Pit Fighter teaser comic number one. Now, I'm just going to establish what a teaser is. This is two 11 by 17 cream color printer copy pages that I have printed here in my studio using the almost completed pages of the first 6 pages of the issue one of Turbo that we've been working on for the last year.
Yeah.
You'll notice we have blank narration boxes and dialogue boxes. So today we're going to review and look at how well I've inked and if there's any areas that I need to be making adjustments on, as well as filling in the balloons. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Jake, and we're going to get rolling.
Yeah. Well, this is page 8, which I think we need something there. I mean, the
Oh,
logo's
you want to
cool.
start on the back? Because
Well,
in the back, this is going to be all of the sort of like who you and I are and just all that
yeah,
fun
right. But
goody
we
goody
can we
stuff.
we can do a bio. I was wondering about that because the format is obviously it's very thin, um, as a little book or a zine to hold in your hand, but as we put out the second one, does it just do the next 8 pages, or does it add to the first 8 pages and then keep growing like that?
So we have this cover, and then we have 6 pages. So the next one would be like a cover pinup, and the next 6 pages, and then on the back we have more information about what's going on with Turbo Pit Fighter.
Right. So we're doing 6 pages of the actual story at a time, and it's a good way to kind of like drip your your product as you're making it to collectors and fans, and really kind of prime the pump. Um, so I like how there's some space here. We can put some text. Um, this was not meant to be the cover of the comic, but it looks great. We spoke about the nose. I don't like how I penciled it. Because remember, this was all just like a pinup that I was just doing for giggles, and you said, "Hey, why don't you send me that?" And it ended up
Yep.
being so the nose is a little bit W.C. Fieldsy for me. And I think it's as easy as just liquefying when you go into Photoshop and just squeezing it. And there's an example of it. I think I sent you, but I could send it to you again because on my Instagram I have it with a nose job, and something about that eye too. It looks a little flat. It looks a little bit like an Egyptian archaeological eye, but I'm not so worried about that. I love this cover. I love the lights and darks, what you're doing with it. Um, I think we went over this already. How this really light area of her leg warmers, whatever we call these things. These are like sheepdog leg warmers or something.
Fuzzy thigh high boots.
Right. So you put in a lot more texture there.
Raver boots.
You put in a lot more texture there, but it's still, I think, you left this big white highlight in there. I think if you keep going with that texture, it's even better. and maybe just
Okay.
close it in, and so there's just a tiny little river of white there. I think that would really, because it does grab your eye, right? It does bring you over there. Because of that,
Oh
because
yeah.
the texture is so light and fluffy. I like that. Um, and this looks a little jaggy. I thought for a second this was pixelated, so I zoomed in, and
Nah, it's me.
yeah, it looks like you're just sketching it that way. So that's
Yeah, it's just to give some change from the elements in the back. So these come forward a bit more than these.
r-
So it's just personal.
right. Well, it at this size, it just looks like stair steps. So maybe go in and do a different effect on that, so it doesn't look like from this view, it just looks like stair steps. But that's it. I think that's all I got for this cover. We got to add some graphics. We got to add like the company name, or the a little tagline here, and I guess we need to sort that
What about
out.
over here?
Where are you looking?
Down over here. In the bottom right hand corner, right above the helmet she's holding.
No, I would leave all that. And
Okay.
I would leave all that. We have a lot of like mechanical stuff in there and technical stuff. I would leave all that. Like, maybe just it's a little dead here and it's a little dead here. That's the only thing I see where, and then, just do something here. But if we were going to add any other writing, maybe you do it. You maybe just pop it in right there.
Okay.
Um, there's a little space here, but this is also like just a small space. If we're just going to put in like a price or a date or something, I don't know. Do we have to finalize this like right now? Because
We're this is like coming into home stretch. So
yeah,
even when we've made all of the final finalization edits, like we're coming into now, we'll do another episode where we'll look at those and maybe even revert some of the decisions we make today.
well, I would, if we had to decide, I would just say like 6-page teaser or something, or mini teaser, or the first mini teaser, whatever we're gonna call it. Just identify it what it is, and then the company name here. What's our company name?
Yeah, we
um,
haven't gotten to that yet.
I know. Well, I made a logo for Bronx Comics, but
Yeah, but I don't live in the Bronx.
neither do I. I work in the Bronx. I mean, I made that logo to put out Pearl White Melody, which is a finished comic, and plus I have 3 other comics, but that's a whole different quality level because I was doing that with kids, and it's a lot more conceptual and arty than this. Well, so just to move on, now we have to get into the dialogue. So people should remember we started laying this out in more than 20 years ago, and I was just going to introduce this post-apocalyptic world, and it starts out with like, I don't know shit about history. I remember that. And we even got to the point where we had where I typed out all the dialogue for the entire first issue. It's all here, but it's it's the 20 years ago version. So some of it might be not appropriate for Me Too days and nowadays. But if I can find page 1 here, I know that it said, I don't know much about history. So that should be up at the top here. It's right. No, it's not here. I have a lot of repeats here. And the second one was going to say something about, but I know our zone was designated in the geographical thinning or something, but yeah, it was shorter than that. It was like the geographic.
Now this is Turbo talking. Who's the narrator? I can't remember who was
Turbo's
narrating.
the narrator, but at other
Okay,
times,
Turbo is the narrator.
yeah,
Okay.
but at other times, I think we go into, I don't know, we got to decide that. So
it would be interesting. It would be interesting, and only people who've watched this would know about it. But I, I am a real fan of Road Warrior and how the feral kid is the actual narrator as an older man, looking back when he was a child in the
yeah, but they don't tell you
mythological.
that at the beginning, right?
No, until the end, right? So
Right.
if it was Trophy Girl's the one that, let's say, gets into her happy place that she's trying to get to, and she's looking back on these fond memories of surviving it in a post-apocalyptic romance comic.
Yeah, unless she doesn't survive.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to that point, but I'm just throwing suggestions out. That's all.
Right. So I'm not seeing don't know shit about history, but I know it says don't know shit about
Let
history.
me.
That first one there. I'm not finding it, but this is like all right, first of all, let me see the ones where I shaped out the word balloons over it. See, this one is without that. This is more valuable because this shows that it fits in the art. Right? So this makes life easy. But the problem is
So here I have one here. It says don't know shit about history.
oh yeah, where's
Was
that?
back before Zergon gas but it's cut here.
Yeah, well,
But
those.
I'll know there was something they called geographical thinning.
Yeah, that's the second box.
Right.
Don't
And
know.
then you got men begin.
So I don't think I have that page here for some reason.
Okay. Ooh, hey, wait. Here, I have another page here. It looks a little bit better.
There are
So
some
it
numbers.
goes, don't know shit about history.
Don't know shit.
But I, yeah, that's what I keep thinking. Was back before Zargon gas when they did it by hand. Then my father, I don't know what's up in here.
Would have been nice if they were numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Yeah, but that's how we worked, or should I say, that's how I used to work for you. I'm starting to have flashbacks, Jake, on those long distance phone calls that we would have to pay for when we were trying to figure out what we're going to have to do here.
Yeah, and I got used to get my
But
MCI. So don't know shit about history is, if you want to label that, that's number 1.
Right.
The
But
geographical.
so just this is another thing we have to establish. And just a reminder to people, Jake and I only meet every Sunday from 11 to 1:30. So this is why we're on the fly here. Now, I'm hoping you're going to actually be able to type stuff up and then finalize and send that to me. I'm just hoping this jars your memory about what it is that is supposed to be said.
Well,
If not writing it right now or a little bit later.
Well, you got to send me that page because I'm missing.
Okay.
I'm missing that page, and I'm wondering if I have all the other page, if I'm missing any other pages. But I guess we'll find that out.
Do these pages look familiar?
Yeah. Well, we'll have to go one at a time.
Because I even have your notes. I even have your notes on mine. I don't know if I had picked these up when I was last with you before you were finishing the pages and then you were going to drop them off to me to be inked.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But this is all that I have.
So yeah,
and some of it seems very repetitive.
Well, yeah, there might be some.
But I can scan it all and send it to you.
Right, there might be some duplicates in there. So the first one is don't know shit about history. The second one is what was that comment about geographical thinning again? That goes right.
But I'll know there was something they called geographical thinning.
But I know there was something they called geographical thinning, yeah. And I don't know where the zircon gas comment goes, but then we
I
go
don't
down.
either.
Then we go down here.
I think that might
It
be.
should be in the neighborhood of the first page, right?
I don't know if that would be was back before Zargan gas when they did it by hand. So this
Right.
would have been the geographical
Right. Yeah,
thinning.
that makes sense.
But
But
then,
they're slaughtering people by hand
and
instead of just gassing them. Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. So,
then the
so that's
men
number.
begin would be up in here.
What does that say?
Men begin.
Men begin. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Or who is the owner of this house?
right. That's what goes there.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's number 4. Who was the owner of this house? And and then something about my father.
That would be number 5 right over here.
And then what does the father say?
Father says, uh, uh, does he say it's me? Men begin.
Over here.
I thought I saw. Hold up. He was just a big old pup.
I
No.
th- I think it says my father was an architect or something. He built.
Yeah, you do have that. He was an engineer, a builder. That's down here.
Right.
So this is 5. This is 6. 5, 6, and then he would have said something like it was me. Hold on, I think I have that here.
So we're talking about the words. I'm looking at the art, and
Okay.
if I have anything, so you're doing these kind of like smudges and puddles on purpose, right?
Yep. I
Okay.
want to get that beat up old comic book feel.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Um, so I noticed you have like in some other areas you have some lighting effects where it looks like a cone of light. I wonder in this doorway if it would be better if there was like some light beams spilling behind these guys into the room.
Making this more whiter.
Yeah, was that something that you did with white, some kind of white effect?
I have there's some other effects I can show like on page 5 and 6. I've been playing around with white spray paint out of a can, Liquitex, and then also just white watered down gouache. That's how I'm working on like lightening down the booty effects here, the fuzzy booty effects.
Right. Well, whatever you did
But
with the
you like you I because what I can do is I can mask all of this out. I can mask this out as a shield, then blast it a couple times with the white spray paint because it doesn't go opaque until I blast it like 2 or 3 times. But just like going over it once,
well, I
I
mean,
can
I
I can
noticed
bring that down. Or
behind these guys, there's nothing. It's just white. So we might as well make that a blinding light and just have
okay,
the light kind of like coming in like I'd say like maybe right here would be a good cone of light, and then maybe on the other side. Just I mean, you could just probably Photoshop it with some just grab the area and just do it that way.
I'll give it a look. See, I'll definitely do it in Photoshop first. I usually do that.
Right.
And see what it looks like, but I have to have it be done by hand.
Right, and
So
if you're doing that, then maybe just like edge light some of these little accents wherever. I mean, you think you did it already, but
that's a good point too. That's a
whatever
good
would be
point too.
catching that light on the edges. Um,
Yep. Yep.
and so this is back when they did it by hand. They went in and killing people. Um, I like this. I like this lighting here, except when it gets to the arm. This looks a little bit hand. You can see the stroke texture. So I would just bring back the gray a little Just, you know what I'm talking about? Just fade it in, make it a little more gradual so it doesn't look like you can see this stroke effect. You know,
Hmm.
like when you're putting on makeup, just, blend it in, right?
I wouldn't know anything about that, Jake.
We won't talk about that.
And
Um,
you brought it up, but I don't know what you're talking about.
so I just printed this out on my laser printer, and it's very, very dark overall. I don't know if that's in something that needs to be adjusted in the original. I could definitely adjust it before I print it next time. I know printers may vary. But here in this panel, you're almost losing turbo. I mean, she's there, but it's
On purpose, I felt like she's not, until you get to this panel here, there's nothing indicating this is about her. It was
so
just something I was subjectively applying.
okay. I
Because if she's bright, she's bright, everybody's bright,
yeah.
then there's no focus. And of course, he's in such heavy shadow with that edge light. And then the mother having that surprise look. I wasn't too worried. I do leave a lot of light around uh, the paw, the
Yeah.
holding of hands
So
here.
if that's the case, then just maybe throw in a little edge lighting, and
Sure.
doesn't even have to be high contrast, but just a little edge lighting. I don't see anything here. I don't see anything here except maybe just do some edge lighting again. We want to start to see Turbo, start to reveal her a little bit, and then this I couldn't get. Why does the blood look like it is so anti-aliased or so feathered? It should.
Yeah, it was a non-permanent blue-black marker, and I kind of live on the edge of its effect, though it does give me a little bit of a bother. So,
Yeah, it's very distracting. I don't care if she's covered with blood, but that
mhm.
looks like it is added on in a Photoshop or something. It just looks very obvious and distracting. So that's all I got on that. That's 2 pages. It's really good. All right, so then we hit the splash, and we have to find these. We have to have Turbo Pit Fighter right here. It'll be the name of the company and Turbo Pit Fighter. So all along I've been using the word Doom Magazines as a company name, but here's where the rubber hits the road when you're first putting something in print. I have Bronx Comics could be just like the imprint for the school based stuff, and
You said Doom Comics,
Doom
Doom.
Doom Magazines.
Doom magazines. I like that.
Yeah, Doom stands for Do Our Own Magazines. So,
Oh.
and I used to have this thing where I did it. You're gonna laugh, but it was called Doom Magazines #1, and that was the name of the company. It was kind of like a Japanese thing, like where you're touting your own horn,
Hmm.
but it's too confusing, right? Like Doom Magazines #1.
But isn't that what comic books is all about? Too confusing.
Right. This is the latest offering from Doom Magazine's #1. No, we'll take off the #1, but yeah, Doom Magazines. I like how that sounds. I don't think anybody has that name, um,
We can.
it has a ring. So, if you have a better idea, speak now or forever hold your peace. But
No.
so I'm just wondering here if we're printing this offset. We want to be able to control the output so it's not too dark. I'm assuming that my darks are too dark right here, because yours looks completely different on yours. I mean,
Well, I also have a cream colored paper, so I'm not dealing with stark white. Your stark white is going to make it darker. And it's the major reason I want to use the cream is I don't like black and white on stark white paper because it's too high contrast. So all those middle values go away. Now, I'm not saying that I've got it down pat, but my uh, goal as an inker and making black and white comics is really to be able to control the values from black and white on a page that's not 100% white. So I do agree with you, though. I'm not gonna plant a flag and state against in the darker part of it. Um, but also at the same point,
I,
I'm still also going for the rough around the edges production. So
yeah, no, that's fine, but I want that to be literally around the edges. Like, like when it comes here, I don't want, you know me, I have a sign up in my classroom that says, scribbling is points off. So,
okay,
whenever it's just like, distracting, I want it to be like, smooth. Everything's just, good here. Everything, I mean, I'll point out, if it catches my eye, but, um, first, this panel's great. What you did with the hair there, this is ideal, and
okay,
maybe even, maybe even look at that for here, because here it's a little Charles Burnsy,
yeah.
which I think I did on purpose when I was doing the sketch. Maybe not, but this is what the hair should always be like. It's more realistic. It's more like, shiny hair.
Matted,
Yeah, well, I
flat
don't know. I call
matted,
it shiny hair technique. I actually teach that. I try to teach
shiny.
this, but this is getting a little 2D and a little flat, and this looks modeled. So that's the big difference. I mean, there's a lot of shiny hair. There's going to be a lot of shiny hair, with Turbo Comics, and um, yeah, this is all fine. This is all good. Right here again, it's just got to be like, just take a little white or a little gray, either one, and just like, feather it in a little bit, so it's, so it doesn't look like there's a spotlight 2 inches away. It's just, you know
Well, doesn't it give though a kind of like a pleather or leather or plastic kind of feel? Because that's really what the effect in his armor or outfit was, to give him some contrast in his his bodily texture, which I then haired him up
right. Well,
to like an artificial leather or pleather or some
yeah. So if
plastic
got
type
yeah,
of
I
binding.
got it. So if that's the case, then there would be some other spots here, because otherwise this is just reflecting like
What do
one.
you mean spots?
Well, if you're going for the patent leather look, then, and you want to leave this
Yeah,
hard without a little bit of feathering, then I would put some
yeah.
other spots on there, because that what you're saying is this is the only light in the room. This one big long fluorescent light bar, and
Yeah, there should be like a reflective light quality that might happen over here, which does, but it's not as extreme
over where?
right here in the forearm, under the forearm. I
I
let
don't
it
I don't
intentionally
see your
be sort of like
pencil.
an under.
You gotta kick
Huh?
it. I don't see your pencil. You gotta kick over it or something. There
Uh,
we go.
Here.
Under the forearm, where you look, right under there. Right. Yeah, so you could put it there too on the edge. It's just this by itself, it either looks like it needs to be feathered in so that it's more like, warm light, or if it's a hot light, then you need to put some more, a couple of more other dips and dabs of light there where the other fixtures would be, because how are they lighting this arena? Is it big spotlights? Because those would be reflecting everywhere in patent leather, and you would be picking it up, here and here and here and here and here. Um, but as folks can see, we're really getting into the we're really getting into the fine tuning
No,
here.
this is exactly what you should do, though. I love and I've been wanting to make this statement for a year. One of my favorite things and the thing I most miss about art school are the critiques.
Right.
I love getting a critique
Right.
and I love giving a critique because that's really about when the rubber hits the road in your process. And nobody's perfect. Nobody will be perfect. Nobody gets perfect. But when you can hear somebody like yourself, Jake, because you have an artistic background, give this kind of dialogue back and forth in order to help me see the areas of improvement, it only means growth for me. So I do not take it personally. I do the opposite. I
No, yeah, we're
thrive off
working
of
we're
it.
working
So
things out.
continue,
I
my
mean,
friend. Hell
we're
yeah.
saying stuff for a reason, and if you push back and and have another thing,
Well, I
something
have
like
my
me,
stands. I mean, there are
yeah,
things
yeah,
that I
that's
do
fine.
want to see
That
happen, and that's just my own vision. And
that's fine too. People
I
can
don't
see,
work. I don't. Right,
the
right. But the thing too,
go ahead.
go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, the other clarity is that you have not hired me to be the inker. You have approached me to come in and ink your pencil pages.
Hmm.
So what it is that my responsibility is taking your vision and applying another layer of vision on it. Now, where
Yeah,
we're at right now is we've got a jockey between our two visions because, you know, your pencils, as I've said in the past, are excellent to ink because you do a lot of structural drawing, but then inside, let's say, the line form of objects, you do this noodling kind of like rendering in a three-dimensional way. It's
I
just
call it contour
indications.
shading.
Yeah, contour shading, exactly. So what I'm doing is just applying where I'm at as a creative person in my own sense of search of making black and white comics to then go, oh, okay, well, I think Jake wants this, but let me lay this on top of it, and then I'll see what his reaction is.
Yeah,
And then we'll kind of go from there. But if I see something, I do something and I see it and I love it, that's where I'm going to post a flag and say, okay, I got to take a stand.
got it.
But if it is hard contrast, in other words, it's breaking the flow because we're inking a story, not a piece of art, I'm going to have to back down.
Right, right. Well, it's also like, who's got the better argument? What's the reason? And,
Yeah.
there's the aesthetic, there's the story, and then there's just, personal taste and everything in between. Um, uh, let just moving along. This is a hard edge here. That's on purpose, right? And this is a hard
Yep.
edge here.
Because it's
Hard-
a faux shadow of her striking arm.
Right. Because I would just, not a lot, but I would just feather this in a little bit with either the white going in or the
Okay.
black going up, just because, just it looks like a hard line. And so it just reminds me of the, the four color separation days when the colorist was just like, um, make, uh, the colorist is supposed to stay in the shadows, like be in the background, and sometimes they would like be such a rush that the colorist would just have to be like, ah. So I know this is not the same thing, but if it's being done, I would just feather it in, just like what I'm really nibbling here, but I would just like take 3 marks there and 3 marks there, and just cut into the gray, or the other way, cut into the white.
Here,
Um,
here, here.
this, yeah, and do our shadows look realistic? This is the shadow of the guy, right?
Where are you pointing?
Down on the bottom. This is his
Yes,
this is
yes.
his shadow. I wonder if I
Yep.
think it needs to connect here, right?
Well, his foot's off the ground is I want what I interpret it
Oh,
as
his foot's off the
because
ground.
his leg, yeah, well, his other leg is supported behind her leg,
So
and then his like he's getting like totally like spun on this strike of hers to this helmet, so it's pulling his leg
I
off the
wonder
ground.
I
Once
wonder
again, how
I
I
wonder if
interpret
this whole shadow is big enough. Um, and if his it yeah, I don't so if his
shadow
No, I
though.
think the
So
shadow's.
I
I think the
am,
shadow's good. I think it needs to be. I think it needs to be a little bit. Well, first of all, I think it's kind of dark. Maybe it could be 80% of the darkness that it is now,
okay.
and I think it needs to be bigger because at some point you would start to pick up turbo shadow too, right? So I would maybe
No, that would be behind her.
yeah, right. Well, it would be like more here, but then he's a big bulky boy, so I'm wondering if the shadow should just be extended more. And if and if this is his foot off the ground, getting that effect, I'm wondering if if that's the right shape. But I didn't even realize that. I thought he was on the ground, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's better if it's off the ground. So just
Yeah, because the
maybe you can just play with the shadows and you know get it until it looks. I mean, I want it to be. Right now, it's a little bit of a little bit distracting. Like I would love if there was like a little light edge here on her boot, but it might be because the shadow might be too dark and not too very very dark, just a little too dark. Right? It's a subtle thing. I mean, when we're doing art on our own, we make 200,000 decisions an hour, right? But
yep.
yeah, this is just finalizing. And then I think the last thing, I know I have to give you the art for this, and we have to decide exactly what it's going to say. Like, if it's Doom Magazines presents Turbo Pit Fighter #1, and then you know the credits, which will be you and me, and how exactly that's going to read. But the last thing on the page, I really like this page. This is a very important page. Um,
Yeah.
this establishes Turbo's body and her shape and everything, and this is
Now,
every.
what are the other things? One of the other things is that this would have been page one, which would have been faced here, and then you would flip the page, turn, and this would be over here. So because of the way
Yeah, I
we've
printed
laid
it
this
back to
out,
back.
I've even yeah, and I even thought that maybe we don't have quote unquote a cover. We actually start off with this in these turbo teasers, which is just the page. Then when you turn, you get, you get this over here,
Yeah, I
so on
mean,
and so forth. And then when you get here, you're here with the bonus pinup page to really sell it all. And then here's all the information about it.
right. Well, yeah, because in the final offset, this will be an inside front cover with something there. This will be this page here. That's how it was designed, and then this will be back here like
Yep.
that, and then we go right.
Wait a
Uh,
second. You have the pin up. You have the pin up on the inside second. You have it over here.
what's that? No, on the
You have the pin up.
yeah, on the final comic, this will be a different cover. There'll be an inside front
Right.
cover, which with some materials on there. This will be the first
Right.
interior page, and this will be the second interior page, like this on the left. Right, this will be the spread on
Mm-hmm.
the final. So, um, right. So, just to finish off this page, I noticed what you did here in these letters, and at first I was put off by it because I was like, "That's weird. You don't see that a lot." But then I noticed that the lines are all kind of going in the direction of the punch, right?
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yep.
So my thinking is, how about if we took some white outside the letters and we added to that so that it looks like more of the impact of the punch is just going that way, because there's also some little debris here, from his face mask
Oh yeah.
that's kind of getting lost
Yeah. It's
in the
yep.
grayness.
Yep.
and you're really hiding the Duke here. You sure you don't want to bring it a little bit? Well, I don't know if this is printing out so dark, but no one's ever going to spot that, but that's an Easter egg right
It's the
there.
idea. It's Easter egg.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but I just
If you're not watching us, if you're not watching us,
right.
gotta watch us.
So I would, I would just like take some more. It doesn't have to be a lot, but take some more of these lines, and even though it's outside the lettering, just make some
Yeah.
lettering that looks like more impact, because we don't have any speed lines here, right? This is like a high speed camera caught this, right? And
Yeah.
usually in comics you would do some speed lines like. I wonder if I even gave you speed lines, right? In the pencils. I guess I didn't. But
Nah.
but short of that, let's use this as a device, right? So what you gave me an idea here. Let's bring these particles, this debris back out with some lightness, and then let's extend these little lines that go out, and they could even fan out a little bit, like I'm doing here. Like I'm just gonna take a mark. Oh, I have a white pen I bought. Look at this.
Yeah, do it. Let me see it.
Look at this.
Which one is that?
I don't know. It's all in Japanese.
Is that like a?
It's
yeah, but is it a paint marker or ballpoint pen?
It is a Zig. It's Kuretake, and I gotta say, I know this is a tangent, but I gotta say, I bought this little set of this, and where is it? A couple other, and this best thing I ever got. One of them's gray, so that's kind of a waste. But this is a thin one, and these are called Kuretake Fude Gokochi. Best thing I've ever used. The point is so hard and resilient, but it does give a little bit. So here I'm just gonna draw what I'm talking about. Like I would just make these little spatter lines and just
Okay.
continue where you're going.
Okay.
I think that'll look great. And that's it. And that's it. I'm just worried that my printer is darker than what will really happen. So I guess we need a proof before we actually do the run. But if you're running off on cream color, on your printer, then you have total control, over what's going on over there, because you're actually doing the printing yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'll actually send you a copy, and then we'll both have pre-flight check copies.
But I'm looking at
I'm looking at
the art that you sent me, and it's much lighter. I'm looking
on your PDF
on screen. Yeah, much lighter on screen.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So this is just an area of concern for me, but it might actually just be in my imagination because my printer is a little heavy. Right?
Yeah, well, the home printers do that. They do deposit a little bit more ink than is being required from the file.
Yeah, well,
there's
one of the control over it whatsoever, right? And so.
Well, this all works for us. I do want to upgrade my printer to something that would be, like crisper in a sense, and maybe even have a little bit more control for values. I'm actually looking into it.
Yeah.
We just got to get to a point where then I can pull the trigger on the financial cost, involved in it. Because I've seen some of these printers that do that in the way of controlling the output of it. And they run over $500 to $800.
Yeah. Well, they're worth it if they're giving you a good.
Exactly.
So I just got to bear this in mind, because when you said print this out, it's good to have something in your hand, but I'm also dealing with a much darker version.
Right.
So you want to
now,
move
Jake?
On?
Jake, we are coming to the 45-minute mark. We'd like to keep these 45 minutes. There's no reason we can't do a second episode to continue this conversation. Let everybody, myself included, take a breath, and then we can reconvene. But I just want to say from this point, I'm getting super excited. Like I said, we're getting close. We're getting close to having something to be able to get in people's hands to show that we are serious about what it is that we're making,
Right.
and doing with the channel, which is talking about how to make a comic book.
Well, we're not just talking about it; we're doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, do you have anything in closing?
Yeah, is Turbo supposed to be on the ground here, right? So maybe
I don't know. I have a couple of really crappy. I have one crappy sheet, and it's not giving me the details I need. So I got to go back to the original
yeah, just to
printout,
finish this one
late
page.
file.
Just to finish this one page, I think there would be
Right.
a little shadow under her foot here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like you're thinking here.
yeah,
Let me
because
just.
she should be definitely digging into the dirt, to get some traction. And
Okay.
that's it. Yeah, I mean, I'm very reassured coming back to the PDF here because it's definitely not as dark as it looks on here. So I'll keep that in mind for our
Okay.
next session. But that's it,
All right.
man. You want to
Cool.
wrap this up?
Yeah, man. This is a special episode number 1, which is finalizing Turbo Teaser Comic number 1. We only got through the first 2 pages of the story. You can see in my red marking that we're really giving a scrutiny and bringing this into the home plate. So then we have a final version to start printing and getting out into you guys' hands. With that being said, the community tab here on YouTube. We have a lot of activity going on in there. We have a couple of turbo knots, and please come over and join. And you can be heard in questions that you have about making comics in general, storytelling, so on and so forth.
Plug your
It is the
comic.
multifacetedness of what we are building here as Turbo Pit Fighter podcast.
If you're a creator, plug your comic. Interviewing somebody.
Heck yeah.
When's our next interview?
Oh wow,
Super.
great point. Yep. We have Jason Sandberg next week in our kind of comics that influence slot. He has a Kickstarter that's going on right now. And so with that being said, we're going to have a three on conversation with Jason in his, this is an old story he's bringing back from 1999. So we're also supporting his Indiegogo, excuse me, not Kickstarter, Indiegogo. So that'll be next week. But we have to head to our next comics that influence episode. And
we're headed there now.
That's all I have.
Yeah, we're headed there now. So Turbo Teaser coming soon to your grocer's freezer.
All right, I'll see you.
Be good, Kurt. Later.